So here's a quick quiz. How long ago did The Last of Us 2 come out, Matthew?
3 years ago.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
was it? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Give me my prize. 3 years ago.
I think what is dominated, at least when this was announced, like the conversation here was, why is a 3-year-old game being remastered? Especially within the context of like, this game got a PlayStation 5 patch. So it's not a native PS5 game, but like you can play it at 60 FPS on the PS5, no problem.
Yeah.
So like, why does this exist? And I think the answer I've come to is that this game visually, there are such minor improvements that I would think that you would only really notice them scrutinizing the same image side by side. Or the same video feed side by side. So it's not an immediate like upgrade in terms of like visual fidelity or fluidity. Yeah, you've got the game running at 4K now instead of 1440p for its quality mode, but like the performance mode still runs at the same resolution, at the same frame rate. I think this game is predominantly almost like a Game of the Year edition where it's like, here's the original game and here's all this extra stuff that we, kind of wanted to explore with the game, but didn't have the chance to at launch. And I think that's where a lot of the value of this lies. So you've played a bunch of the roguelite mode. What's it called? I forgot what it's actually called.
No Way Home.
No Return?
Spider-Man.
No Way And I think No Return's not far off from another Spider-Man. It's something like that. I don't know. It's a roguelite mode. Yeah.
Well, just to quickly bounce off what you said, I think right out the gate, it's smart of them to make it a $10 upgrade if you own The Last of Us.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you look at it from that point of view, you go, visually they've maybe done a little bit of a polish, but it would be an absolute crime reselling this at $60. So I think good on Naughty Dog.
Well, they are technically to people who don't have it.
But I mean, if you've got it,
to not offer an upgrade path.
To not offer an upgrade path would be, because I mean, Sony have done stuff like that in the past where there's just straight up no way to upgrade. If you own a copy on PS3 or PS4, whatever, sorry for you, you got to rebuy the game. So thank you, Sony. That is a step in the right direction. As for, maybe it should have been a free upgrade. I don't know, debatable. As for the
very, very interesting thing that I've been thinking about in the context of like God of War got a roguelite mode update in December for free. And
it's wild the timing, because I've seen so many people just all over Twitter this week talking about, Left Behind mode is fun, but God of War was free. And it's, debatably better in some regards.
It's just a strange position for Sony to put themselves in, you know what I mean? Like, why not just standardize between the two?
Surely one person looked at this and went, we should probably discuss this. I don't know, maybe make them both free or make them both $10. Because even the God of War one, I've seen so many people go, wow, can't believe Sony made this free. This
Exactly.
I would have paid for this. And
it's actually more like fundamental to the story of God of War. It's like an epilogue of sorts to that game. So it is more of like I'm not going to say the Last of Us roguelite is a throwaway mode, but it's not expanding the story. It is just a fun like arcade way to engage with the existing mechanics there. Whereas God of War is like, no, this is like extending the story of Kratos, and it's wild that was free. I don't think either of them. I'm not saying like, oh, The Last of Us should have been free. I'm saying that God of War should have been $10, like 100%. Sony shoots itself in the foot by making that free, because they make everything else look, everything else now has to be better if it's going to be charged for, so to speak. So
the words of Kratos, do not be sorry, be better. we've come full circle. Okay, so the actual. I think it is called Left Behind.
I don't think it is, because Left Behind is the DLC for the first game.
Oh my god! Okay, well, it's called. Damn it! What is it called?
I will find it. Hold on.
This is the roguelite mode, and in as roguelites work, it's a run based affair where you typically start with no.
It's called No Return. You were correct the first time.
Oh my God, what did I call it? No Way Home.
No Way Home.
It's a roguelite. You start with nothing with each run, and then you play through stages. You unlock resources which you use to buy weapons, give yourself perks, and upgrade said weapons. I think the structure on paper, it sounds good, and I think, look, I haven't put in dozens of hours into this, so people who have might feel otherwise and say, maybe it gets a bit stale, etc. But I will say that I think this mode lends itself well to The Last of Us purely because The Last of Us does have phenomenal gameplay. It is maybe better at stealth than all-out action, but I think there is the meat and bones are there to just package them as a roguelite. So I think it does work. But I have seen people say, and I have seen this myself, where I think it was Kotaku that had an article yesterday, just like 11 essential tips for The Last of Us, No Way Home. Damn it.
Fuck's sake.
And one of the headers was just basically like, don't treat it like a stealth game. And which is fair, because I think the description there was essentially some of the modes, which we'll get to, like there's different stages with different objectives, etc. But a lot of those, the enemies straight up know where you are. And The Last of Us 2 lends it, and even the first game, you always have the option to be stealthy. You don't have to go all out. Whereas it feels a bit like, well, if enemies know where you are from the get-go, what does it help having a bow and sneaking around? Like, you have to be proficient with your, I don't know, for example, pistol, your Molotovs, etc. So it's interesting from that regard. But all that said, there are, how many playable characters are there? About 8 to 10?
Sure, there's quite a few.
There's a bunch.
They follow that path of like, you play as one character a certain number of times, that unlocks a subsequent character, and then that character unlocks another character. But
each character has a different starting weapon and a different set of perks. So they all sort of feel different, I guess, from the get-go. But where I think the strategy comes in is that with each run, so if you're looking at the video feed now, you're seeing I'm busy choosing a stage. There's branching paths to choose, and then you can see exactly, what theme level it is. Like the one I did typically was Assault, where you just had to survive.
Assault is one where enemies are introduced into the map, but they don't know where you are.
So, like for example, there's Assault, and that is a map mode. And then when you finish it, you'll get typically currency and supplements and what is it, like gear parts? I don't know what that resource is called. And then you use that said money after each level to just buy new weapons. And then what's interesting is that when you go to the weapon store, for example, it's not a fixed thing. It's randomized. So you might, on a run, open up the weapon locker to buy something, and then there's a submachine gun. But the next time you play it, there might be the bow and arrow. So that's where the roguelite aspect comes in of you need to obviously, strategize as you go. Maybe you see, there's a bow and arrow. I'll buy that, and then I'll spend time kitting out. Maybe I'll spend resources on, giving myself explosive arrows. So there is that depth. And again, it plays into, which character are you playing? If you're playing Abby, she is very much melee focused. You don't want to be sneaking around with her. You want to be up beating the shit out of people. Versus Ellie, who I think from the onset, she's maybe more balanced. She starts with a pistol and Molotov.
She seems more like stealth focused, to be honest.
It seems more stealth focused. And if you're watching the feed, you're like, I do have the rifle and a bow and arrow, because I thought, well, maybe it'll be best to pick apart enemies from afar.
From distance? Yeah.
I'm having a good time with it. Like I haven't done nearly enough runs, but I can see myself really enjoying this mode, and I do want to play more. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think I'm very similar to you in that I think this is a very smart distillation of the game's existing mechanics into a roguelite mode. And I think Kotaku's hint is correct that to a degree that this isn't a stealth game. would say that it is still a stealth game, but not in the same manner that the story is, where you are doing very careful and slow, calculated moves. It's more of it reminds me a lot of Metal Gear Solid 5, where it's like you are being stealthy, but when shit hits the fan, you have to adapt. And then if you move quickly enough around maps, people lose focus of where you are and you can re-engage in stealth. And you got to do stuff like that. But like you said, there's modes that completely prevent that. I'm really blanking on the mode names now, but there's one, like I said, where everyone knows where you are from the get-go. You have to survive a certain amount of time, but enemies are introduced every like 10 seconds. So if you aren't actively killing enemies, you will soon be completely overrun by like a swarm of enemies. So you can't just like hide around, and they also just know where you are. So that mode is kind of fun until you play against like infected enemies, and there's like 5 of them around you, and you try and take a swipe with a weapon at a clicker, and it is like absolutely not, and it just eats you alive in one hit and ends your run. And I was like, that happened to me twice, and I was just like, okay, I don't like this part of that. That's a bit aggressive to end a run, on that, considering I literally cannot see what's happening around me, and I'm just pressing X to like survive. So
On that, I mean, this is a side note. I remember in the first Last of Us, because I've actually played that more recently with the the PS5 version, like last year or the year before. That was a thing of you could have a shiv as like a countermeasure. Or am I misremembering?
No, this one has that as well.
But is that something you can't get in this mode, or is it just something?
Maybe, I haven't seen it at least, but
okay.
I know in the main story, well, in the first game it was a consumable resource. The shiv would break.
Yeah.
Here you have your knife, which doesn't break, but there is a limitation to how many times you can protect yourself from a clicker. Obviously, I can't recall what that is though.
I think,
but there is that. I haven't seen that here though.
Okay.
At least not yet. Maybe I haven't played in to get that as an upgrade, or
maybe
it's particular to a character or something.
Regardless, it is a bit shitty that you can have the dream run and then a clicker can one-shot you.
Can just fucking wreck you from out of nowhere. There's like elements of parts of a game that was never designed for a rogue, like brushing up against this sort of design. But I think as a whole, it feels very good and clever, and I think it is very well constructed to the idea of playing 1 or 2 runs a night, because the runs are quite short. And it is all about unlocking things. Like the more runs you play with the character, the more characters you unlock, the more times you play with that character and do specific things according to their traits, the more cosmetics you unlock. The more you engage with certain game modes, the more different game modes. I mean, I don't know if you've looked at the list of game modes. There are so many. So many. So I haven't even unlocked half of the ones that can be used in a rotation for a run. So there's loads to do here. And I think if you really get into it, this is a mode that you can be playing for quite some time. So it's a substantial upgrade. It's a substantial addition to the overall package. There's also, I don't know if you've played them, but they added some cut content to the main campaign, like levels.
Oh, no, not yet. No, I've read about them.
They're not like completely polished levels. They've been put in as like these were the work in progress.
Yes.
Versions we had of this. We just wanted to put it in there as a means to like show what development is like and provide developer commentary. And I think that's a really cool addition to games like this. Like more of that I'd appreciate, because that's just a very fascinating insight into how things get made and why things get cut. And very, very cool. I think ultimately this is a very worthwhile upgrade for $10.
Oh yeah, 100%. Even honestly, even just if you're watching the video feed, the palms are sweaty in this run.
This is a tough.
There you go.
Tough map to be fighting the infected on.
Yeah. What were we? Oh yeah,
very good.
Oh, thank you. For a $10 upgrade, like I was saying, putting on a message, maybe it was in the Discord, someone was saying, they don't have the emotional capacity to invest in another playthrough of The Last of Us 2. And I kind of agree in that. I've played it once and it wasn't that long ago. Like, let's be honest, 3 years ago, it wasn't too long ago. I don't know if I have it in me to commit another 30 hours with, I could play at a nice 60 FPS, whatever.
That's the thing. It's also a very long game.
It's a long game.
It's not a
like
10-hour experience.
It's very good, albeit a very long game. However, this roguelite mode, what a perfect way to, if you want to play more of The Last of Us 2 without the emotional trauma, this is the way to play the game. And it's quite interesting. I mean, I've killed it now, but you're watching the video feed. I haven't played this game for 3 years, and I picked it up pretty quickly. Like it's just
same.
It's very, like, for comparison, Horizon, playing the DLC last year, I was like, I can't remember how to play this game. Just too many mechanics. This, I mean, obviously there's depth to The Last of Us, but it feels like it is a lot simpler to pick up and just be straight back in it. And I've really enjoyed it. It's like the encounters I've had were tense. Like you just saw this thing of sneaking around. Oh God, there's a clicker behind me. it's those
and you only
moments.
had a bow and arrow. I can't believe you actually made it out of that scenario.
It's those moments I really enjoyed from the base game. So to have them here, just on, again, this is how I'm getting my words mixed up. You can play it infinitely. I mean, I know you're not going to play it infinitely, but you can. There are lots of different ways to play The Last of Us, which is cool. And I think for $10, that is definitely worth it. If you
I completely agree.
If you don't have The Last of Us Part 2 at all, let me tell you, it is definitely worth playing. I think when we played it way back when, we actually did do a whole spoiler cast at some stage. Play it. Really fantastic game.
That's a phenomenal game. Yeah, I think if you've picked up a PS5 and just didn't have a PS4 or never got to this on the PS4, it's well worth the investment into that campaign. I think it's a really, really strong campaign, and just some of the best like stealth action gameplay you're going to find now, because like there's like almost no game doing it like that anymore since Metal Gear Solid isn't a thing. So yeah, really good game.
Play it.